This is the book from Sulaiman ibn Abdul Wahab, the brother of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab, right? So, first of all, he himself says that Najd is in Arabia, right? And him and his brother were from Najd, right? So if anybody knew where it's from, probably the guy who lives there, right? Not some people who lied about it 200 years later, right? So, but, if you're not going to take his word for it, whatever, Salafis consider him a kafir, let's see what Ibn Taymiyyah says. So Ibn Taymiyyah said that Najd is directly east of the city of the Prophet, and he says this is where Musaylima the Kadhab came from, and it's pretty unanimous that Musaylima the Kadhab came from Najd of Arabia, not Iraq. The Muslims, I don't think the Muslims even reached Iraq at that point, so it would have been impossible for him to be from Iraq. There was no Muslims in Iraq. So he had to be from Arabia, impossible. And he says it right here. And everybody, I'm pretty sure it's unanimous that he's from the Najd in Arabia. Nobody said he's from Iraq. That's all you really need to know. And this is the source, right? The Ibn Taymiyyah book, if you want to check it out. And this is pretty interesting, so I'll just read it. So, how did the first three generations understand Najd, right? Because, first of all, they didn't reach Iraq yet. So how did the Prophet understand Najd? How could he think it's Iraq if they didn't reach it yet, right? And it says it here. There's a hadith where the shaitan came in the form of a sheikh and Najdi, right? That's a hadith. And it was not thought by those of the council of Dar and Nadwa that he was from Iraq. That would be impossible, as the Muslims had not even made it to Iraq yet. And Muhammad ibn Wahab was called Najdi because he hailed from that area. All scholars bearing the title Najdi have always been associated with the land of Najd in the Arabian Peninsula. We have no evidence of them ever having been associated with the land of Iraq or Iraqi scholars making use of this title at Najdi as a reference to where they came from, hail from in Iraq. Musaylama the Kadhab came from Al-Yamana in the land of Najd, which is also where the headquarters of Muhammad ibn Wahab is situated. The fact that Ibn Taymiyyah made this link well before the rise of Salafiyya indicates the strength of this understanding as a historical reality among Muslims. Pre-Saudi kingdom maps from 1920 earlier will bear out this reality for the readers who wishes to research it. It would only be after the kingdom was broken into districts and councils that the demographics would change and the boundary lines of Najd would change. Prior to the boundary changes, it was clearly discernible that Yamana was in Najd, and that this is where the false prophet Musaylama and the later false prophet Muhammad ibn Wahab would issue from the one making these claims. Okay? And I think that's the only thing left, right? I might as well read this. Muhammad ibn Wahab remarked, immigration is moving from the land of shirk to the land of Islam. Immigration from the land of shirk to Islam is an obligation. Yeah, I think that's it. Alright. Or maybe there's more. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله.
See what the Hanbali scholars have to say about him. So this is a book called As-Suhb al-Wabila ala Dura'ih al-Hanabila. So this book was authored by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn al-Humayd al-Hanbali, translated to mean the bountiful rain clouds on the graves of the Hanbali scholars. So Sheikh al-Humayd compiled the list of the Hanbali scholars and he dedicated it for this purpose only. He only mentioned Hanbali scholars. So if Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab was a Hanbali scholar, you would think that the Hanbali scholars would recognize him and validate him and mention him in their book, right? But guess what? They didn't mention him among the scholars. But they did mention him though. Sheikh al-Humayd mentioned him under the biography of his father. The father would get angry at his son and he would tell the people, beware of the evil that you will see from my son. Allahu Akbar. He also mentions that if Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab had an issue with someone and he was not able to kill them openly, that he would send an assassin to kill them in their beds or at night in the market, because he believed that anyone who opposed him was a disbeliever. Subhanallah. So he was not a scholar, and the scholars at his time did not even recognize him, and his own father, who was a legitimate scholar, warned the people against him.